We're the co-chairs of the BC User Group, and we're going to welcome you this morning to this meeting. This is our biggest BC User Group ever, and I think actually is the biggest gathering of Oscar users that's ever happened that we know of. We were just reflecting this morning where we come from in BC, and we put up a couple of pictures of our history here to show you. Our principal user group meeting was quite close to this, a couple blocks down the street here. I think this was in 2004. You recognize some faces in there: Roberta and Dahlia, and Jill and Patty, and Carol White. I think there was about 15 of us around the table at that time at our first BC Oscar user group meeting. And then this was the one we did downtown shortly after that, where we tried to hold our first demo. And we see some other faces, David and Jay, who go for that one, Carol White. This is the first time that we got a room at FMF. This was the FMF in Calgary several years ago. The seats were still pretty small there. There wasn't a lot of users in Alberta at that time, so all of us flew in for that meeting. And then we had our meeting 2 years ago, our user group meeting. Again, just a couple of rows down at the MSAC building. This is when we started to grow. I think there were about 60 at that meeting. Zach was doing her presentation of the new video record at that time. And then those of you will remember our internet problems and how we managed to pull that meeting off without any of this days. We tried to set a wireless network out in the courtyard. You probably remember how much fun that was. And that's the group that came out 2 years ago to our user group meeting. And then this is last year over at BC Wisdom Town Auditorium. So again, we were growing. We were at 80 people at that meeting. Rest group from last April, and another same group. And again, our FMF meetings, this one is this year, actually the first one was Winnipeg, this is Calgary. This was actually quite well attended. This one, I think we had 60 people fly in Calgary for that meeting. And then we actually got a booth this year at the St. Paul CME, which is the largest CME conference in British Columbia. And that's Patty and Jay and Tracy. Spent a week there introducing Oscar to our calls. And a whole bunch of users that were at the conference came out and manned the booth during all the breaks and meal breaks and talked to our colleagues about Oscar.
I'd say too that the Rural Remote Conference is just inhabiting this prototype Oscar up there, and I think the booth up there right now too, across Ontario.
And I think they really manned a similar booth in Ontario at the conference there this year as well. And here we are today. We have 150 people registered for the meeting, so we've doubled again from last year. So we're just marveling at the growth of that.
The from the email.
No, just that this meeting is really for you.
Okay, yeah, so I'll get up to speed. Firstly, I apologize for the calls. I'm being slower than I usually think, which is quite slow. This is a meeting for the users, and it's kind of a wall-to-door meeting. If you're here looking at Oscar and haven't used Oscar, you have to know this meeting is where we try to find things to grow on that we can to make better, and that's why Oscar has grown this way. So you'll get a good and bad Oscar, hopefully over the next 2 days. We have a separate demo running this evening too for other people coming in and having a look at Oscar. I think that's there's more people coming with that than previously too.
Yeah, I think it's about 100 people signed up to come in tonight. These are people who aren't yet using Oscar. They're coming to the demo, and I know a bunch of you have put your names down to come and talk to our colleagues tonight about Oscar. So anyone Oscar users here that want to help out tonight to the demo, there'll be a group of us staying tonight to share Oscar with their colleagues.
Wow.
Same place.
I just like to say, wow, the growth of this thing is just huge. And I found myself saying to someone the other day that Oscar, and particularly the Oscar community and how it brings providers, physicians, etc. together, is probably one of the most positive aspects of my professional career to date. And so I'm very honoured to be part of the community, and the growth is just fantastic.
Our office board met last night, and Dave Daly, who's on the board, is one who unofficially tracks our user numbers, which are hard to track with Oscar because it's one who's downloading using Oscar. But Dave was going to give us a 30-second update update on where we think we're at in terms of growth.
Yeah, so right now, at last count, we were about 1.1 million patient records that are being managed by OSCAR right now, which is actually a big hunk of the population. Canada's not that big, really. In British Columbia, of course, there's been hundreds and hundreds of clinicians that are active inside the system. In Ontario, it's been there's a new funding program in Ontario which has created a lot of excitement, or at least a lot of growth or interest in OSCAR, just because of just the government's got a push on there. We know from last time we counted in Ontario, there was about 100 or so clinicians that were funded by the government, and there was another 400 or so clinicians that were not funded by the government. So there was about 500 or so doctors in Ontario up until recently. With the new program that's going on in Ontario, they opened the doors to allow not only family doctors but specialists and everything else, and we're seeing incredible growth. So there's probably going to be 1,000 doctors in Ontario over the next 12 to 18 months. The program that until the government runs out of money, and then that'll probably be good for OSCAR as well, because it's just a little bit more effective than the other guys.
And just off, we were counting off our heads last night and trying to put some figures together. I think we've got to 220 hard count of clinical users in BC, and we think the numbers are probably somewhere around 300. And we think it's probably safe to say that OSCAR is probably the fastest growing EMR in BC right now, which we know about the central funding is quite phenomenal.
So we just have a few housekeeping notes before we move into the agenda this morning. Probably most of you will get into the registration table and sort of your registration. The fee is strictly just for catering, so people who have requested catering, there's no charge for the meeting. For anyone who has requested catering that hasn't been to the registration table, try and visit her in the break. There's a group of people that are here that didn't request catering. There's a coffee shop just past the information booth on the other side. And the people that have requested catering, that covers your breakfast, lunch, and the coffee breaks. There's food in the breaks as well. So there's 4 meals or food services that are covered by your catering account. But the people that are not joining us for lunch could stay. We always do a group photo. You saw some of them today at user group meeting and the user group meeting. So we'll do it just before we break for lunch. So if you're going to hang around for a couple of minutes, so you can take a photo, that would be great. The minutes. We really look for volunteers to help take some minutes from this meeting. Yeah, so we got 2 volunteers back there who are going to take some minutes from what we're talking about today. If anyone else wants to help out, you can let Rob know at the back, and maybe I'll just divide that up a little bit.
The Rockers registration team having a fun. John is running the office registration. We get people from so the office is the Oscar Canada User Society that was formed a year or more ago, and it's really important to have people belong to that society. It doesn't cost you anything, it doesn't come with any responsibility other than the responsibility of sharing that moving forward with Oscar. It's actually quite useful for Oscar to have a lot of people registered in the society, so if you can see John register, that would be great. Also, here you can log into the website, which doesn't allow you to see that much more, other than you get to see minutes of the Oscar Youth Society board meetings on there. So I think John can sort you out with the website too, if he's not, so you can do that. And I would like to thank John and volunteers and everyone here. I think it's important to remember that you come and see sort of software of this quality that's shown and talked about for these 2 days. It's easy to believe this is coming from a funded commercial organisation, and what I was saying is that everybody you see here presenting today, everybody outside, they're all volunteers, and then they give their time to be part of this great thing, so I would like to thank them all.
Also registering with AUKUS gives you a vote at the annual general meeting, which happens usually each fall. There's one in October, and so you can vote for the board next fall once you register.